Many homebuyers and developers have had their eyes on January 1st. That's when all the Electric Buildings Act would have banned gas hookups in new buildings under 7 stories, and that includes residential builds. But that's now all in limbo after state attorneys agreed to hold off on implementing the policy while the case moves through the courts, which State Assemblyman Bill Conrad says could take a year or more to resolve. This move comes after builders and trade groups challenged the law in court over the summer and lost, but they appealed that ruling, which led to this temporary pause and what they're calling a major win in their legal battle against the state. Supporters of the law, however, are calling this delay a step backward for New York's climate goals, but lawmakers say it just might not be the right time for Western New York.
This is not a one-size-fits-all state. A lot of people in this community don't like their energy policy being dictated from 400 miles away. And you have to lend credibility to the issue. And right now we have a credibility problem.
To look at the current technology, to look at our region, to look at the fact that when we typically do have large power outages, it's during a blizzard, not during the summer months. So we're talking about survival here, not just comfort.
This is a deeply shameful action, and we absolutely need to change course moving forward if the governor is serious about true energy affordability for New Yorkers.
Many opinions coming forward today. And in a statement shared with Two on Your Side, Governor Hochul's advisor on energy and environment says she is committed to the all-electric buildings law and believes the pause will help defend it. A hearing in the case is expected early next year. On Your Side, Alyssa Clausel, Channel 2 News.
The president of the Buffalo PBA says while leadership changes are out of his control, he's reached out to Mayor-elect Sean Ryan to discuss policing efforts in the city of Buffalo. PBA President John Davidson says he's hoping to work with the incoming administration. He adds the police department is still working without a union contract. He says the previous agreement expired this summer, adding he's reached out to Mayor-elect Sean Ryan and they plan to meet. Davidson says while there will likely be changes, he believes this is an exciting time for the city of Buffalo.
We're going to have a new mayor elected for the first time in 20 years in Buffalo, and that brings excitement. Change always brings excitement and some concern, but we're excited to see where this goes. I'm not sure if our current command staff is going to stick around or move on and join their colleagues in retirement.
According to a spokesperson with the city of Buffalo, the police commissioner has not said anything publicly about retirement. Buffalo Police Commissioner is one of the many jobs listed on Sean Ryan's Build a Better Buffalo website. We reached out to Sean Ryan's office for comment and have not heard back at this time. On Your Side, Chelsea Swift, Channel 2 News.
Hey there, good morning. Douglas Jamal is selling the mall to Benderson Development, but the town of Amherst is going to pursue it through eminent domain, only to then transfer it back to Benderson. If that confused you, how do you think I feel? It's a complex deal with a lot of ins and a lot of outs. Jamal continues his withdrawal from Western New York as the deal to sell the mall to Benderson Development is expected to close before the end of the year.
Once that closes, then the town will move forward with an eminent domain action on the entirety of the mall.
So why is the town going to pursue it through eminent domain?
The eminent domain action basically scours the earth in terms of old leases and parking rights and build rights and all of those things that are out there that make it really an inhibition. I mean, these developers have not been able to move forward with because of all of those items.
Eminent domain of the property by the town will essentially void all of that.
Some of the property will be available to the town, and we'll purchase and then go to an RFP process for new housing. Moving forward, there will be some housing components, about 13 acres of housing, and Benderson will use the rest of the facility for commercial and all sorts of other activities.
The cost to the taxpayers, according to outgoing Supervisor Brian Culpa, nothing. Benderson is paying the town $4 million, which should cover the eminent domain costs for the JCPenney building and Firestone building. However, the town is going to spend about $8 million to buy back 13 acres from Benderson and create a project increment finance district. They're buying it for more than $525,000 an acre and plan to sell it at $625,000 an acre and control the development through RFPs. The costs for infrastructure in the district will be covered by new properties coming onto the tax roll, and according to officials, shouldn't cost the town anything over the course of 20 years. Incoming Supervisor Sean Lavin is not concerned about that.
The tax base alone will expand significantly once this is online. So if we're going to have to invest a little money into this to get this over the finish line, we're going to recoup those expenses twofold.
There was little pushback Monday night on this topic, at least, during the town board meeting, and the board passed the resolution to move forward unanimously.
We are steadfast in our approach in making this the best community possible. I think we've shown that through some of the projects we've done thus far, and we're going to stay on that track.
Benderson Development is responsible for all demolition costs, including any hazardous waste materials on site. Supervisor Culpa said some asbestos is on the site, and that alone could cost between $9 and $12 million to remediate. On your side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
Former Pharaohs dancer Crystal Quinn was to be a star government witness against Gerace at his trial last year on drug and sex trafficking charges, but she turned up dead in a Wellsville apartment of a drug overdose. Even without her testimony, Gerace was convicted. In court today, Gerace's co-counsel Mark Foti said, "We're of the belief that false evidence was presented to a grand jury." The one which then indicted Gerace and 5 other men of taking part in a conspiracy to administer a lethal dose of fentanyl to Quinn to keep her off the stand. It wasn't the first time Foti said that, and it was enough to convince federal magistrate Jeremiah McCarthy to inspect the grand jury minutes himself, where he found additional problems, specifically with the way prosecutors presented the case, concluding, "I have grave doubts the grand jury acted independently of the government." McCarthy ordered not only for the grand jury minutes to be released to the lawyers representing the defendants, but to the public as well.
I'm feeling more optimistic knowing that a judge finally stepped to the plate and said, you know what, enough is enough.
But McCarthy's ruling was quickly appealed by prosecutors. The presiding judge in the case, Elizabeth Wolford, granted a stay of McCarthy's order to release grand jury minutes, and that his order to do so be redacted when it came too close to revealing certain information. In one example, McCarthy notes the relatively short time it took for the grand jury to indict 6 individuals while considering 28 counts. How long they took, though, was blanked out in his ruling. Prosecutors insist the secrecy and ergo the sanctity of the grand jury process must be maintained. But Gerace has his own thoughts on why they want to keep a lid on things, wondering aloud that if they did nothing wrong, then why can't his lawyers see those grand jury minutes?
Prosecutors go in, they tell their story, they do whatever they want, and then say, well, guess what? Nobody's going to see it, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
After months of being closed, Mandela Market is back open for business on Buffalo's east side. The store was shut down in September after city officials found code and licensing violations. That happened around the same time this viral video surfaced, showing what witnesses said a woman being attacked by employees inside.
Of course, finally I reopened my store. I came again for the community to serve again. So yeah, I'm happy.
Owner Latifa Ahmed says the store went through major changes, a new management team, staff training, and upgrades to the building and security. She says Mandela Market now has 18 cameras and a security company monitoring the property around the clock.
We changed my whole team. Now I get a new management, involve them here. We train them to how to handle everything, how to take a customer.
The city confirmed Mandela Market was cleared to reopen after meeting building and safety requirements. For the next 30 days, the store will operate under strict conditions, including closing by 10 every night.
As long as there aren't some consistent violations or issues, then they should be able to stay open.
Buffalo Common Council Majority Leader Leah Halton Pope represents this district. She says the licensing issues were tied to building work that had been done without proper permits, not the viral incident itself. She calls this reopening a test of accountability and responsibility.
Small business is really important in our community anyway, but when we do so, they should be done with respect to all people who are there. So having the requirements, I think, is really important. It has to have security, has to be on site.
For Ahmed, this reopening is a chance to start over. She says she's focused on keeping gas prices low, the store clean, and rebuilding trust.
Actually, I'm very sorry from the bottom of my heart. The incident must be not happen again. Yeah.
This picture of Meredith Roberts was taken October 25th.
The picture of her from homecoming, of her flexing, that girl was starting with acute liver failure. And you look at that picture and that doesn't even seem possible.
And now she is in ICU at the University of Pittsburgh Children's Hospital. I spoke with her parents via Zoom, where they have not left her side.
About 2 Fridays ago, she had really dark urine and she thought she was dehydrated.
Then
her friends and band told her, "Meredith, you're really yellow today."
Tests were done, including a liver ultrasound.
And it had over doubled her bilirubin, which is like her liver, one of her liver numbers. And her coagulation factors, her clotting factors were not good.
Her mom, who is a nurse, says doctors suspect Meredith has Wilson's disease.
It is like a protein mutation on one of her chromosomes that makes her liver store too much copper. And that looks like what it is. Not everyone with Wilson's disease goes acutely ill like she did, but the only cure for it is a liver transplant.
She's a 17-year-old high school swimmer.
She was breaking all sorts of swim records for the Niagara Frontier League. She was looking forward to sectionals and going to her 4th straight year at States for the 100 breaststroke. She was ranked number 1.
Now she's been listed as status 1A, the highest transplant need for a liver.
Hopefully a living donor can be found. And if not, they would take the first available donor as a cadaver.
She needs a donor with an O-positive blood type.
We read Meredith all the messages and everything that comes across.
It's been tough. It's been a crazy week.
There's a board in her room that lists her goals for the day. And the goal is to wait patiently for a shiny new liver.
It is absolutely real life. I think a lot of folks are looking for pantries near them. We might be one of the few that are open on weekends, so we might be seeing more of the explosion in need.
It's a need Kristen Konkolens told us had already doubled since COVID, and that was before the government shut down.
We went from having an average of 25 households to 37 and then 38 the next week. This past Saturday, and then on Monday we were open for an extra day. We served over 60 households. So we have more than doubled just over these last few weeks. And it's a lot.
Inside Parkside Lutheran Church, where there used to be a bowling alley, you'll find the Kenmore North Buffalo Food Pantry. It's stocked with food from Feedmore, Western New York, 3,000 pounds every other week, and donations from the community. These volunteers help feed families in the 14214, 14216, and 14217 zip codes. You just need your ID and proof of address to pick up food.
And then right now, a lot of patients too.
This pantry needs donations of everything from non-perishables like pasta, proteins, canned fruit, and fresh meat, butter, and eggs. Kristen also needs more volunteers.
All right, you want to hand these over to Keith? I'm just so proud of everybody for rising up, and we're making it happen. We're making sure that nobody is turned away, that we're able to get food to everybody who needs it.
You may recognize them as mellow alternatives to alcohol, low-dose THC drinks and edibles made from hemp. But many of them could soon disappear from store shelves. The new federal spending bill President Donald Trump just signed include a provision that bans most intoxicating hemp-derived products, as lawmakers push to crack down on items they say are being sold without consistent regulation.
Marijuana is considered a Schedule I drug under the Controlled Substances Act, which is the highest potential for abuse, no potential medical benefits. It's right up there with heroin. Hemp is not marijuana, and it comes from the same exact plant. The only difference between a marijuana plant and a hemp plant is the amount of THC it yields.
Hemp was legalized under the 2018 Farm Bill.
A lot of the revenue generated from hemp dispensaries, hemp retailers around the country, and especially in Western New York, is from THC products, potent THC products. With the inability to sell those products, I think these businesses are going to have an incredibly difficult time, and I think they'll be hit the hardest.
Joe Schaefer with Vanks says New York has already cracked down. Gas stations and corner stores that once sold Delta 8 gummies or drinks can't do that anymore. Those products now have to go through licensed dispensaries.
I don't see your average New York State cannabis consumer affected by this, but I see someone who lives in a state where there is no legal cannabis or there's only medical cannabis who relies on hemp products to get their THC or however they like to consume. Those folks are going to be the most affected.
Schaefer believes the next year before the plan takes effect will bring pushback and potential changes to how hemp is regulated across the country.
But I'm told by those who attended the protest that an ICE enforcement happened in front of Aguacate's restaurant on Elmwood Ave. Several people were allegedly detained, and that sparked a protest this afternoon just after 4 o'clock. From what we've been told, the enforcement took place sometime this morning outside the restaurant. Organizers at Western New York Peace Center rallied around nearly about 100 protesters this afternoon, calling for an end to ICE enforcement. Victoria Ross, the interim executive director of the Peace Center, says one of the main reasons for organizing the last-minute protest was to send a message that Elmwood Village residents don't want to see this happening in their neighborhood.
And that's what we're trying to do, protect our people who are working hard, who are, there's no indication that anyone has done anything illegal. And they worked here for over a year, apparently, is what I've heard. So they're these are our friends and neighbors.
Now, between 75 and 100 protesters turned out Thursday afternoon there on Elmwood Ave. We reached out again to Homeland Security for any additional details, but not yet have received a response. On your side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
That's right. Russell Salvatore says an off-duty police officer located his Bentley off the Humboldt Parkway. Salvatore says he's grateful he got his car back in one piece. He says around 4:30 this morning, 2 individuals came to Salvatore's parking lot and jumped inside his powder blue Bentley. He says he posted about the incident on social media, offering a $10,000 reward to the person who found it. Salvatore says an off-duty police officer found his car on Humboldt Parkway and Golding Avenue. His friend says the officer would not accept the reward, and it appears the outside of the vehicle was not damaged. She says Western New Yorkers who shared the post ultimately helped Russell get his car back.
If it wasn't for social media, you kind of almost wonder how quickly things could. But then again, it is a car that stands out. Everyone knows when they come here. It's out by the front door, right? There's so many customers that were sending pictures to us of them in front of that car. It's an icon here.
Fox adds Russell purchased the Bentley about 7 years ago, and the car continues to bring him joy. Lancaster police are still searching for the 2 individuals that they believe are responsible. On your side, in the studio, Chelsea Swift, Channel 2 News.
We went to go look for her to give her dinner, and we couldn't find her.
Penny is Steve and Kate Boyd's beloved 13-year-old Labradoodle. She doesn't move as fast as she used to, and she's also deaf. Around dinner time Tuesday, they noticed she wasn't around.
We don't see her in the yard. We have to assume that maybe the gate swung open and she got out. And then we put it on social.
Friends, neighbors, and strangers started looking for Penny all over North Buffalo.
I pulled over to one lady in a pink coat. I rolled on my window and I didn't get a word out. And she said, "I haven't seen your dog yet." She was looking. Stranger. I mean, like City of Good Neighbors on hyperdrive. It was amazing.
2 hours into the search, Steve got a call from his son, who was in the kitchen when he heard a whimper from outside.
This FaceTime call comes for the whole family, and I connect to it, and all I hear is Steven say, "Penny's in the pool." I thought she was gone. And he saved her. Then she saved her because she was smart. She knew where to go. And she fought. She fought for hours in that water.
Yeah, she fell in the deep end, but she knows to swim to the shallow end steps, which is where she can get out, but she couldn't get out because the loop block was locked down as it is supposed to be.
Their son got a screwdriver and got Penny out. She could barely stand. They brought her to the vet, and as you can see, she's doing okay. Yesterday, Steve posted this video online, thanking his neighbors and warning people to check their pool covers.
It had a tiny slit of a hole right there, which we believe became a big slit when Penny fell through it. I think I learned an important lesson here, and I hope other people who have this cover will go out and check theirs, because that could have been a kid.
We really got lucky on Tuesday, I think.
Really
We're
did.
lucky to have our girl with us still.
Erie County Medical Center, now just one of hundreds of healthcare providers across the country, now involved as plaintiffs in this massive federal court case accusing a Virginia-based software and data analytics firm called Clarative of setting up an allegedly illegal price-fixing system on behalf of major health insurance firms as its clients as they negotiate out-of-network patient fees for medical services with the health institutions and doctors with lots of leverage.
Clarative is basically a middleman now, and they're accumulating all this data. They're using, artificial intelligence and very sophisticated algorithms to negotiate these rates. And it's an antitrust concern from the perspective of the providers.
Former healthcare executive Larry Zielinski says this reflects the growing consolidation of hospital systems and very large health insurance firms on the other side, even though Western New York is a bit different from the rest of the country in this situation, with more regional-based health insurance firms, even though Highmark is a major player with its Blue Cross Blue Shield affiliation. Clarative has denied the allegations in the court case, saying hospitals and physician groups are just charging too much to begin with for the healthcare market, and that a ruling against them could lead to higher costs for employers with healthcare plans and patients. But the Medical Society of New York State and the American Medical Association also among the plaintiffs, stating Clarative presents an unfair advantage for its client health insurance firms in the tricky out-of-network element of healthcare plans. Some estimating a potential $200 billion settlement as compared to the overall $4 trillion healthcare industry. So if the ruling goes against the health insurance firms and Clarative,
You're talking about enormous companies with lots of resources. And I could see a company like United, for example, just establishing their own version of Clarative.
Several businesses are expecting those big crowds with so many events going on, not only tonight, but also into the weekend.
With so many events means bringing in more people to make sure businesses are staffed and ready. Two places doing just that are Big Ditch Brewing Company and the Banshee Irish Pub. They both called in more staff to make sure they are prepared for the crowds. Between that big concert tonight, shows at Shays, and everything else on the calendar this weekend, they're expecting lots of people to walk through the doors. Both tell us they were really busy Thursday night, and they're expecting the same for the next couple of days, which they say is great news for downtown.
Everybody needs it. It's great to just see the people downtown walking from business to business, and everybody's looking forward to it. This is what every restaurant, every bar, we're looking forward to these nights. These are what we need.
Excellent for downtown because, the hotels are filling up, parking lots are busy, people are coming down. This is just what we want to see in the city of Buffalo. City of Buffalo is wonderful. It's our home.
And if you are headed downtown, city officials want you to plan ahead. They say, give yourself some extra time, maybe head down a little bit early, especially if you want to find parking downtown. On your side in Buffalo, Courtney Courtright, Channel 2 News.